Obama has any other surprises in store for the Jewish state. This after his administration failed to block a United Nations resolution condemning Israeli settlements. That move could have serious repercussions for Israel in the years ahead. Chris Mitchell brings us that story from Jerusalem.
For thousands of years, Jews have prayed at the Western Wall in Jerusalem. It was part of the outside wall of the Second Jewish Temple during the time of Jesus. Now, according to the United Nations Security Council, it's occupied Palestinian territory.
This resolution will go down as another shameful resolution, but it'll be thrown into the dustbin of history.
Just before Christmas, the U.S. abstained from voting against UN Security Council Resolution 2334, condemning Israeli settlements in biblical Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank. In doing so, the U.S. abandoned its longtime policy of vetoing anti-Israel resolutions.
It is unfortunate to see someone who claims to be a friend of this administration basically abandon us in such a profound way.
In a very long speech, Secretary of State Kerry argued that condemning settlements was the best way to promote Israeli-Palestinian peace. Israeli Education Minister Naftali Bennett said the resolution was like a self-inflicted wound for the world.
It gave backwind to thousands of terrorists around the world that want to destroy Israel, because when they see the UN taking such a crazy resolution against Israel, essentially saying that Jerusalem is occupied territory.
Palestinians were pleased with the UN decision. They hope it will force Israel to give them land without giving anything in exchange.
We know now that it was a premeditated move by the Obama administration together with the Palestinians against Israel.
Israel says it has evidence it will give incoming President Trump that the Obama administration helped write the resolution. According to a report by the Middle East Media Research Institute, the Egyptian daily Al-Yum Al-Sabi published the minutes of a secret meeting between Kerry and National Security Advisor Susan Rice and PLO Executive Committee Secretary Saeed Erekat. The minutes of the meeting reveals that the sides agreed to collaborate regarding a resolution on the settlements. The American side focused on coordination of positions between Washington and Ramallah regarding the resolution on the settlements, which was brought to a vote in the Security Council and adopted. It's not clear what can be done to reverse the effects of the resolution, but many are concerned that the upcoming Paris Peace Conference will deliver yet another international blow to the Jewish state.
CBN's Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem. Chris, what does this UN resolution mean for the status of Jerusalem?
Well, for Jerusalem, Georgia basically divides it in half. It says the eastern part of Jerusalem. And what that means is the old city. And behind me, you can barely see it right now because it's dark here in Jerusalem. But behind those walls behind me are more than 3,000 years of Jewish history. That includes the Western Wall, the City of David, the Mount of Olives, all the things that are familiar to us from the Bible. And it basically gives that and says to the Palestinians and declares it occupied Palestinian territory. So for the status of Jerusalem, it's a dramatic change.
How does it impact the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? Does it, for example, leave Israel in a weaker bargaining position?
Definitely, because the negotiations between the Israelis and Palestinians have been based for nearly 50 years on a resolution called 242 from 1967. And basically that was land for peace. And that meant part of the Sinai, Gaza, and the West Bank. Israel gave back the Sinai, they gave back Gaza, and they have given back part of the West Bank. But now it basically declares that all of the West Bank from the 1967 borders is basically occupied Palestinian territory. So it takes away leverage, all of the leverage that Israel had at this time. The other thing that also does, George, is that it really takes any incentive away from the Palestinians. If they can get anything they want through an international body like the United Nations, there's really no need or desire for them to go to the negotiating tables. And finally, George, it makes compromise by any Palestinian leader very difficult. Because if the international community already says Jerusalem and the entire West Bank is occupied Palestinian territory, how can they make any compromise, anything less than the international community has already declared?
Chris, we are just days away from Obama leaving office. What else might he do before he vacates the White House?
Well, there's a lot of concern here in Israel and some in the U.S. that on January 15th at the Paris Peace Conference, they're going to ratify sort of what John Kerry said just a few days ago, his 6 points in his speeches, his last major speech as Secretary of State. First of all, they're going to do that, and then 2 days later, maybe on the 17th through the 19th, the UN Security Council may convene again, and there's a concern that there be one more attempt by the Obama administration to delegitimize Israel, and maybe even some have speculated they maybe even try to enshrine Palestine as a full member of the United Nations.
Wow. Chris, what can Christians around the world be doing right now to stand up for the nation of Israel?
Well, I think the first thing they can do, George, is pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And I think because Jerusalem is really the epicenter of this whole idea behind this resolution, that's one thing they can pray that the United States wouldn't have any bad effects, because a lot of people look at Genesis 12, 2, and 3, and it says those that bless Israel would be blessed, and those that curse Israel be cursed. And so they believe that really the U.S. could be get the bad benefit, that is, of this resolution, and also pray that nothing will happen in the next few weeks, that nothing in the United Nations, at the Paris Peace Conference, would further delegitimize the Jewish state.
Chris, my friend, thank you so much for your insights. Chris Mitchell from our bureau in Jerusalem. By the way, you can follow all updates from Israel and the Middle East at our Jerusalem Dateline page. Find it at cbnnews.com. From Israel, we head north to the nation of Turkey, where police there are still searching for the terrorist who killed 39 people in the New Year's Eve massacre at a nightclub in that capital city of Istanbul. Turkish media say the suspect took this selfie video. It shows the killer smirking while filming in the central area of the city. But it isn't clear if it was taken before or after the massacre. ISIS is taking credit for the killing, saying Christians were targeted in, quote, revenge for God's religion. Turkey, by the way, is a Muslim nation, but it has a long Christian history. In fact, the 7 churches that Jesus addresses in the book of Revelation are found in Turkey. Sadly, today Christians there are facing increased persecution. Jennifer Rushan brings us that story.
In Turkey, American pastor Andrew Brunson sits in prison, facing trumped-up charges of terrorism. He's a Christian who lives and preaches in Turkey, and experts say that's enough to put him at risk.
So today, I would argue that Turkey, particularly Turkey's Christians and Jews, are going through a very difficult period.
Dr. Aykan Ademir is a Muslim Turk who's dedicated his career to helping Christians, Jews, and other religious minorities gain full religious freedom in his country. It was his core mission as a member of Turkey's parliament, but he faced roadblocks. Now he advocates from Washington, D.C., working with the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies.
I think Christians have learned to live under constant threat of physical or symbolic violence. They're used to constant messages of hate. They're used to Turkey's culture of impunity, meaning they know that there will be very lenient sentencing to the assailants.
And things got worse last summer, he says, after a coup attempted to topple Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Turkish authorities were already suspicious of Protestants, especially missionaries. Since the coup, it's gotten worse.
When we talk about Turkey, we're talking about basically the biblical landscape. This is the country that hosts a lot of the Jewish and Christian sites. So there's a very rich heritage, and it's so sad to see how Turkey's Islamists systematically not only marginalize them, but also portray them as being foreign.
In the coming months, Ademir fears other Protestant pastors and missionaries could be framed by security forces like Pastor Brunson. And following the coup, it's hard to find Turks willing to speak out for their Christian neighbors.
The majority of citizens are afraid to talk because since July 15, 110,000 civil servants have been fired from their jobs, 37,000 people have been arrested, hundreds of news outlets, including newspapers, magazines, TV, and radio stations,
happy to close.
It's an issue President-elect Trump will have to confront, as Adamir and others fear America's NATO ally increasingly resembles an authoritarian regime. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Thanks, Jennifer. Terrorists have released a video of a hostage priest pleading for his life. A branch of ISIS kidnapped Catholic priest Tom Uzzanali last March in the town of Aden, which is India.
Dear Pope Francis, dear Holy Father, as a father, please take care of my life. I'm very much depressed. My health is deteriorating. I may need hospitalization soon. Please come to my help quickly.
You can continue to pray for Tom. Please keep him in the prayers. Indian officials told church leaders in Father Tom's hometown of Kerala that they are doing everything possible to get him out. Coming up, a church with services in 4 different languages and a congregation that speaks more than 15 dialects. That story when we come back.